Welcome back to Kiwi Bred. We head back to Brighthill Farm where Azamour will spend the current breeding season. I spoke to Nick King about the first stallion owned by the Aga Khan to shuttle to Australasia. Azamour's the first of Aga Khan's stallions to shuttle down to Australasia. Nick, why has His Highness made the decision to travel him down here?
I think we saw a big change in the operation in Europe and a lot more involvement in the Southern Hemisphere. They did reverse shuttle Readout's Choice to his stud in France last year. He's going to have his first runner in the Melbourne Cup, so there's a real emphasis on the Southern Hemisphere for them now, which wasn't there before. And the decision was made to bring two stallions, of which Azamour was the first, to shuttle. So in many years of breeding stallions, I think these are the first horses ever to come to this end of the world. It's very exciting.
Personally, you must be incredibly proud of the fact that Brighthill is the first to stand.
Oh, really thrilled. You know, what a wonderful opportunity for Brighthill Farm. And personally chuffed having been born and raised in Ireland and seen the extent of their operation over many years. For them to make the decision and entrust one of their best horses to Brighthill is fantastic. But also a huge coup for New Zealand, that they've identified New Zealand as a breeding environment where a stallion can get a fantastic opportunity. I think, as I say, it's as much a coup for New Zealand as it is for Brighthill.
How did the deal with Aga Khan, one of the biggest breeders in the world, come about?
I think it was a culmination of a lot of things, because a lot of people over many years have tried to get this deal done and have stallions for the Aga Khan in the Southern Hemisphere. I think there were a lot of things in our favour. New Zealand was one of them. I think the style of the operation that we have here, the scale of it and the way we operate, was obviously something that attracted them, because it wouldn't have happened without it. And we were very fortunate with the owner of Dalgar, Nevin Bottica, who had kept his contacts there. So it was really a timing thing. I think we managed to get all the boxes ticked, but also the timing was perfect when they were looking to start a shuttle exercise with their stallions.
Winner of 4 Group 1 races in Europe as a 3 and 4 year old, crowned European champion older horse in 2005. What was Azamour's appeal as a racehorse?
Well, I think you've said it really. He took all before him. Every start he has as a 3-year-old was in a Group 1 race, which is phenomenal if you think about it. The quality of the races that he won as well, I think the 2 races that really stand out, at Royal Ascot, the St James Palace Stakes over a mile, which he had a lot of ability over a mile, and then the King George Queen Elizabeth Stakes, which is a proven stallion making race, to show that he could get that mile and a half. Was a phenomenal win. And as I say, these are races that produce top class stallions, and as you mentioned, as a 4-year-old to be the highest rated older horse in the world just shows the level. I mean, Azamour is of a quality of as good as any stallion that's ever set foot in New Zealand, so phenomenal racehorse.
He's sired 110 winners from only 175 runners. That's a hell of a strike rate.
It is indeed, and he's continued on with that this season. Those were at the beginning of the season. Probably even more impressive are his stakes winners. He's got a very high percentage of stakes winners per foals, which is 5%, which in perspective of New Zealand, it would be the second highest in New Zealand to Zabeel. So a very high strike rate. He's now sire of 18 stakes winners now. He had another stakes winner at the weekend. And of course he produced a world-class horse in Valley Ra, who won the French Oaks and was favoured for the Arc. So very accomplished, proven sire.
By a son of Northern Dancer Night Shift and the talented Ismara, do you think New Zealand breeders recognise the quality in his pedigree?
Oh, I think so, and I think we were very fortunate to have a son of Night Shift here who's very successful in a line that makes it a sire line that they can relate to. And then if we go back further in his female side, he's out of a Darshan mare, and we've had a lot of successful stallions here, including High Chaparral, are out of Darshan mares and around the world, of course. So pedigree easily recognisable for New Zealand breeders.
At his peak, he was rated the 3rd best racehorse in the world. He looks very imposing. How would you describe him physically?
I think the thing that excited me the most, and hopefully the footage will come across to the breeders, is when you see him for the first time, the penny drops. You can see in him physically why he was such a great racehorse. He's a very athletic horse, and when he moves, he floats. And as you can see also with the footage, his temperament is phenomenal. So to be a world-class, top-class horse, you need to have all those attributes. But I think his physique is a fantastic asset for the stallion.
Nick, how do you see Azamour fitting in with our New Zealand mares?
I think physically he'll suit them very well. There's a broad spectrum of mares now. We've got a lot of imported mares in New Zealand now, as well as the big classic Zabeel type mares in New Zealand, which he would really suit. So I think from a physical point of view, looking at his progeny in Europe, he will match up really well. He's probably a slightly bigger, stronger horse than some of the European horses that come down here, so that really gives the New Zealand breeders confidence. And I think, you know, looking at the response we've had so far, he looks set to breed a book between 80 and 90 mares. And for a horse that's not syndicated, I think that's a phenomenal book in this market.
Service fee of $12,000. How did you arrive at that figure?
Well, I was actually very fortunate in the situation that I was allowed to decide the service fee, and we realised that it's been a tough few years for breeders in New Zealand, so it creates a huge opportunity. Certainly a stallion that could have been stood at a much higher service fee. So this, as I said, represents a wonderful opportunity for New Zealand breeders because he is so proven, a fantastic racehorse. So he does, at that service fee, I think, leave a big margin for breeders as they go to the sales ring.
Exciting times ahead for Nick and Anne-Marie with a stallion the calibre of Azamour's. Well, it's now time for the Dunstan Horse Feeds Pedigree of the Week.
Karen Parsons has got the touch. The North Canterbury trainer has long dabbled in breeding, unafraid to follow her instincts after hours of pedigree research and analysis. But to put that all in perspective is that her greatest feat in breeding, multiple Group 1 winner Final Touch, stemmed from a family few would have persisted with. Parsons bought Grosvenor mare Shivari Lady in the early 1990s, but she never raced. The daughter of listed Showgate Stakes winner Miss Shivari, Grosvenor mare Shivari Lady spent much of her breeding career in Australia, producing 8 named foals, including Final Touch's Dam My Lydia and stakes-placed races Edgefilly Noi. By Umatilla, My Lydia had an inauspicious start to her career as a broodmare, with her first 2 foals dying before she produced Al Jadid filly Nerida. She missed the following year and then foaled Final Touch, a Kashani filly who was to become her last foal after she lost her brother to Final Touch the following season. Final Touch has been everything her forebears weren't, completing her rise to stardom with a triple Group 1 success of the Captain Cook Stakes, Telegraph Handicap and Waikato Draft Sprint in the space of 2 months last summer. To cap it all, Parsons retained ownership of Final Touch and trains her in partnership with her husband John. The Kashani mare was named New Zealand Sprinter of the Year at this year's National Racing Awards, and while Parsons is no longer breeding from My Lydia, she is breeding from Nerida, hoping to achieve the same rags to riches success. This week's Pedigree of the Week is proudly brought to you by Dunstan Horse Feeds.
Well, that brings our show to an end. Next week we head to Hallmark to feature Singapore sensation Super Easy. The son of Darcy Brahmers started the next phase in his career. I look forward to your company then.